Let's get started. Start with listening, and then learn new words and practice them in sentences.
Have you ever found yourself in a situation where the right course of action isn't clear? This, my friends, is the intriguing world of ethical dilemmas. They're everywhere, but they're especially common in our professional lives. You see, ethical dilemmas are those tricky situations where the lines between right and wrong are blurred, creating a moral conundrum. And when you're in the workplace, these dilemmas can take many forms. Perhaps you've been privy to a conflict of interest, where personal gain clashes with professional duty. Or maybe you've stumbled upon a confidentiality breach, where sensitive information is at risk of being exposed. Whistleblowing, too, can pose an ethical quandary: to speak up and risk retaliation, or to stay silent and let misconduct persist. Each of these situations presents its own unique challenges, but don't worry. As we delve into today's topic, we aim to equip you with the necessary tools to navigate these murky waters. Imagine you're in a position where personal interests clash with your professional responsibilities. Let's delve into the real-life case of Jane, a procurement officer in a large corporation. Jane's brother owns a small business that supplies office equipment. Her company is looking for a new supplier, and Jane is in charge of the selection process. She knows her brother's company offers competitive prices and quality products, but she also realizes that her personal connection poses a potential conflict of interest. This situation brings to the fore several ethical issues. First, there's the question of fairness. If Jane selects her brother's company, would it be because they genuinely offer the best deal? Or would it be influenced, even subconsciously, by her personal relationship? Second, there's the issue of transparency. If Jane doesn't disclose her connection, she risks damaging her reputation and that of her company if the information later comes to light. On the other hand, revealing the link might lead to questions about her impartiality, even if her brother's company truly is the best choice. The potential consequences are significant. If Jane fails to manage this situation appropriately, she could jeopardize her career, harm her company's reputation, and potentially face legal repercussions. On a broader scale, conflicts of interest can undermine trust within an organization and lead to a toxic work environment. So, how should Jane navigate this ethical minefield? She might start by consulting her company's code of conduct, seeking advice from a mentor or superior, or even reaching out to an ethics hotline if one is available. She should also consider the potential impact of her decision on all stakeholders, including her colleagues, her company, her brother, and the other potential suppliers. In this case, Jane decides to disclose her relationship with her brother's company to her superiors and removes herself from the selection process to avoid any perception of bias. This decision demonstrates a commitment to ethical behavior, even when it's personally challenging. Conflicts of interest can be complex and require careful consideration of all stakeholders involved. By making informed ethical decisions, you can uphold your professional integrity even in the face of difficult dilemmas. So how does one tackle these ethical dilemmas, you might be asking? Well, there are several ethical frameworks that can guide our decision-making process. Let's delve into two of them: utilitarianism and deontology. Imagine you're at a crossroads. Two paths are laid out before you. One path represents utilitarianism, the other, deontology. Utilitarianism is an ethical theory that focuses on the overall happiness or good of the majority. It's like a seesaw. On one side, you have the benefits of an action, and on the other, you have the potential harm. The action that tips the balance towards the greatest good for the greatest number is considered the most ethical. For instance, a company may decide to lay off a small number of employees to prevent bankruptcy and save the jobs of the majority. Now let's tread down the path of deontology. This ethical theory is all about duty, rules, and principles. It's not about the end result, but the action itself. If an action is morally right, it should be carried out, no matter the consequences. For example, a deontological approach would argue that lying is wrong, even if the lie could potentially save someone's feelings. Now, you might be thinking, which path should I take? Utilitarianism or deontology? Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. The choice between these ethical theories often depends on the specific situation at hand and the values of the individual or organization involved. Remember, ethical dilemmas are complex and multifaceted. They often require a delicate balance of personal, professional, and societal values. And while ethical theories like utilitarianism and deontology can provide a roadmap, They are not the final destination. It's up to us to navigate these challenging terrains and make decisions that align with our moral compass. The right approach often depends on the specific circumstances and the values of the individual or organization, and thus, the journey of ethical decision-making continues. Keep this knowledge in your arsenal as we delve deeper into the world of workplace ethics. Let's consider a scenario where confidentiality is at stake. Imagine an employee named Jane, a senior manager at a well-known tech company. She stumbles upon a confidential document revealing a major security flaw in a soon-to-be-launched product. Jane is now grappling with a serious confidentiality issue. This situation presents Jane with an ethical dilemma. She recognizes the potential harm that could come to the company's customers if this security flaw goes unnoticed. However, she also understands her duty to maintain the confidentiality of the company's sensitive information. The ethical issues here are complex. Jane has a responsibility to her employer to protect their confidential information. But she also has a moral duty to ensure that customers are not exposed to potential harm. The potential consequences are significant. If she stays silent, customers could be put at risk. On the other hand, if she speaks up, she could lose her job or even face legal consequences. So how should Jane navigate this ethical dilemma? Let's consider some ethical frameworks that might guide her decision-making. Utilitarianism, for instance, would suggest that Jane should do whatever results in the greatest good for the greatest number. In this case, that might mean alerting someone about the security flaw to prevent harm to customers. On the other hand, deontology emphasizes duty and rules. From this perspective, Jane's duty to maintain confidentiality might take precedence, even if it could potentially lead to negative consequences. Ultimately, the decision Jane makes will be influenced by her personal values, her understanding of her professional obligations, and her assessment of the potential consequences. This case illustrates how confidentiality issues can challenge employees to balance their professional responsibilities with their personal ethics. Confidentiality dilemmas can test an individual's integrity and professionalism. They remind us that ethical decision-making in the workplace is seldom straightforward, but always critical. So, what can you do when faced with an ethical dilemma? Well, let's explore some practical strategies. First, don't hesitate to seek advice. Reach out to mentors, colleagues, or even a professional ethics consultant. Their perspective can shed new light on the situation and help you see things differently. Next, consider all perspectives. Ethical conflicts often involve multiple stakeholders, each with their own interests and values. By considering all sides, you can make a more balanced and fair decision. Finally, reflect on your personal and organizational values. What principles guide your actions? What does your organization stand for? By aligning your decisions with these values, you can maintain your integrity even in challenging situations. It's important to note that there's often no perfect solution when it comes to ethical dilemmas. But by using these strategies, you can navigate these tricky situations with confidence and professionalism. Remember, navigating ethical dilemmas is about balancing the needs of all stakeholders while maintaining integrity and professionalism.
Let's learn new words and practice English at level C2. Moral quandary. Moral quandary, a situation in which one is faced with a difficult decision that involves a conflict of moral principles. Example, the manager found himself in a moral quandary when deciding whether to report the company's unethical financial practices. Integrity. Integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Example, demonstrating integrity in the workplace means speaking up when you witness unethical behavior, even if it is challenging. Whistleblowing. Whistleblowing, reporting unethical or illegal activities within an organization to authorities or the public. Example, whistleblowing can lead to positive changes in a company but might also involve personal and professional risks. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest, a situation where someone's personal interests could potentially influence their professional duties or decisions. Example, it's important to disclose any conflict of interest to avoid compromising one's professional integrity. Code of ethics. Code of ethics, a set of principles designed to guide behavior within an organization. Example, the company's code of ethics outlines acceptable behavior and provides a framework for addressing ethical dilemmas.